I applied to Cleveland State University then. They were not accepting statement of purpose. 3 days later, they slammed me with rejection. I don't know who to talk to for recommendation because all my lecturers when I was in school wanted to sleep with me.
Everybody's a mini dictator, so they will frustrate you. They will put fear in your mind. I was saying this. I think a lot of Nigerians live in fear because we thrive on intimidation.
In OAU, then the first time I went to my professor's office, I'm not going to say the name of the man. This man literally pressed my breast. I'm not lying to God who made me. I don't know what his aim was, but he wanted to sleep with him because he was telling me enter office. I'm like, I don't need to enter office. I'm a master's student. He was saying, hey, and so are you a baby? The first day I went for my registration in uni, like,
you have to say the name. You have to say the name. What's the person's name?
I don't want to put person for trouble.
You don't want to go and enter Insta blog. I feel like you just snuck up on me with that one. I didn't see that one coming.
No. I had crazy experience in way.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. My name is Obed and I will be talking to a very good friend today on this video. And as you can see, she's looking radiant, smiley and happy. And I'm just glad that she's able to join me on this call. And I'm trying something new that I haven't done before, which is have someone on the channel. And I'm very honored that she decided to join me today for this first time doing this. And I'm bringing you guys a perspective from someone who is non-STEM, because I always give examples with like chemistry, engineering and all of that. So it's nice to hear from someone who is not a STEM person talk about how they were able to navigate the graduate school application process from all the way in Nigeria down to the United States, sort of like how they started. We would literally go deep into like the background from undergrad, how they navigated everything to what they're currently doing professionally. And so I would allow my friend, my very good friend, Ruth Oluwafemi, to introduce herself. So
my name is La, right? I finished from Miami University as well. I graduated from Miami University. Right now, I work in a university here in South Dakota, and I'm also a YouTuber. So
yeah, and her YouTube page link is linked up so that you can check it out and show her some love. Subscribe to the channel and check out what she's doing. She has really amazing stuff that would really provide a lot of insight when it comes to graduate school application. She's actually my senior colleague on YouTube. So definitely check out her channel. She's been doing this for, maybe 20 years. Kidding. Maybe 2 years. So check out her stuff. Pretty good stuff. All right. So Yinka, thank you so much for joining me. And I'll keep calling you Yinka because it's easier. I just say Yinka. So thank you for joining me, and I think you know how this is going to go. So I've just asked you questions, and it's a natural conversation like we would have if we were at a coffee shop. What I wanted to begin with is to have an understanding. Maybe before we get into that, why should, if this video goes as long as 30 minutes, 40 minutes, however long it goes, why should anybody pay attention to what we're about to talk about?
Okay. I would say that people should pay attention because, like, first of all, I am a non-STEM student, and I think that the majority thing that people mostly talk about is that scholarship is for STEM students. So I would say people should pay attention so that they hear my perspective on how, me being a non-STEM student, I was able to secure 6 fully funded scholarship in the US, because I feel like even the people that are always shouting STEM students, how many scholarships did they secure? But I secured 6 fully funded scholarship in the US.
You said six whole scholarships.
Yes, 6.
That's amazing.
So I feel like that is something that people can learn from, and that is something that people can, hear my perspective, particularly if you're a non-STEM student. I see no reason why you should be skipping this video, because you get to learn my perspective and know that if STEM students can do it, then non-STEM students can do it as well. So
yeah. Amazing. Thank you. That's a great response. So she's indeed here to give us a very fresh perspective. I'll say a lot fresher than everything I've been saying on the channel. So I'm happy to do this. Also, so given that you're bringing a certain level of expertise to my viewers, I wanted to ask, tell me a bit about your background, what your bachelor's degree, and basically tell me about yourself. Okay. What degree did you get in the US, and what job are you doing today?
Okay. I feel like this tell me about yourself question. I don't know how to answer it properly, but I'll try to the best of my knowledge. So I went to Obafemi Awolowo University, and like most people used to think that people with first class are the only ones that get scholarship. And I'm sure you people might have seen Obed's story that he did with Damilola, where he said he got first class. And most of you might be like, oh, maybe that's why I got scholarship. But I did not finish with the first class.
I will link that up for them.
Yes, I did not finish with the first class. I finished with a 2-1. And also I've heard of people that actually finished with a 2-2 and they are currently in the US with scholarship. So yeah, to my story, I finished at OAU. I did English language and education. And for the longest time, I've actually thought that I was going to go into English because most of my colleagues that we did English language and education together, because it's a dual degree, double honor. Like I have BA in English and I have BEd in education. So for the longest time, I thought I was going to go for English, but I don't know, like it's just something that you're passionate about. I think when I was in like my 3rd year, I started learning about psychology of education, and that just kind of like caught my interest. And I'm like, I want to be, I'm invested in the reason why students are not learning. So after school, I was just looking around. I spoke with one of my auntie that works at the University of Lagos, and she was like, it's hard to, get into the school system in Nigeria, that she would advise me to, travel abroad. And yeah, and I started my research and I studied student affairs in higher education in the US. And as a result, currently I work in the student affairs department of a university as a director.
Thanks for telling me a bit about yourself and like your background. So you got a bachelor's degree in education, which is English education in Nigeria. And from my understanding, I know there's a lot of stigma behind education in Nigeria. It's like your life is done, you'll be a teacher, and it's like if you're a teacher, that's it, your life is over. But today you're working as a student affairs director in the United States. So well done. You've done very well for yourself. So tell me, what was your motivation from the beginning? When you were in Nigeria, how did you conceptualize the idea of studying in the US or studying abroad at all? And how did you decide on the US?
So honestly, like I get like when you said English language and education, like people, there's a stigma around it because for the longest time when I was at OAU, I think it was when I got to 300 level that I started telling people that I am doing English language and education because I take all the courses English arts are taking. I only take additional education course. So when people ask me, I'm just like, I'm in English because I was never proud of the education part. But when we got to like 300 level, like I shared earlier, we did a course called psychology of education. And when I was in like my elementary school, which is primary school in Nigeria, there was one student that was not learning. And like there were just so many narrative then, like, oh, like with the psychology of education, I was able to pinpoint that either the student had polio or she had Down syndrome. But teachers were not aware of that. Like majority of people, the news that was circulating in school then is because she came from a very wealthy family, or her parents used that for ritual, and they were constantly forcing her to learn instead of paying attention to, okay, what does this particular student need? And I met her in Primary 1 up until I left in Primary 5. She was still in Primary 1. She never left Primary 1. Even the Primary 1, they just had to push her to Primary 1.
Forward,
if that makes sense. So I just kind of like reflected. There was even a time that I think I used to journal then, and I reflected and I'm like, oh, maybe this is what was actually wrong with that person. Because in Nigeria, nobody ever employs an educational psychologist to see, okay, why are students not learning? So I think that was where the motivation started from. And then I also kind of like linked it to like my first year in school. If you are watching and you are OAU student, please just put it in the comment section. We know how it is, like English. I'm sure you know how English is. Like English at alone was like 500 students. Now combine English education, combine other people that are taking classes with them. Lots of students are taking classes with them. So for us to be able to sit down, Obed, I might have a class for 3 p.m. I have to go and sit in that lecture room 1 p.m. I'll take classes with other people just so that I can sit down in class. If not, you are going to stand all through the class. So my mindset is like, if I'm standing through a class, how am I able to retain knowledge? How am I able to retain information when I am not comfortable? So I just kind of like joined all of this together and I'm like, there has to be a change in this system. And right now, I know I'm working in the US, but of course the end goal is to bring a change to Nigeria, right? I mean, all of this just gather experience and see how you can influence the Nigerian education system. So that's how I came about, saying, because even after school, my mom was like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go work in a bank? Am I going to go work as a customer care representative? And I'm like, no, I think I am interested more in the education aspect.
Education aspects,
I mean, when I left school, I thought, but I'm like, teaching is not where God has called me to. Like, I need to do something better for myself. So that is where, all of this started from. It came with a passion. And that is what I tell people, like, if you are really passionate about something, like, there's nothing anybody wants to take away from you. But where is your passion? With whatever course it is you're passionate about, trust me, you can actually get scholarship in that course. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes. So to make sure I hear you very well, you said whatever course anybody is passionate about, they can get scholarship regardless of any field.
Yes.
Okay, but let us backtrack just like a few steps backwards. When we say scholarship, what do we mean? Are we saying scholarship or are we saying fully funded? Are they the same thing or two different things?
So I would say, like, I feel like I just say scholarship because
it's easier, right?
Yes. The general term for it is financial aid. So under financial aid, we have like scholarship, we have assistantship, we have like grants, we have like fellowship. Some scholarship might be full, some scholarship might not be full. But generally, most of the time, when a school offers you assistantship, most of the time, some schools, I've heard of some schools that they pay partial, but most of this time, the school will cover your tuition. And I feel like, and then fellowship, of course, fellowship will cover, I think, majorly everything. And they will even give you money. I don't even have to work for the school. And then grant as well. Grants you might get like an housing grant where they will be like, I'll cover your housing. Or you might get like a tuition grant, things like that. So I meant to say financial aid.
Okay, amazing. So thanks for clarifying. I think this helps the viewer understand what we're talking about. So we're talking about fully funded admission offers, and there is also opportunities for scholarship if you qualify for it, and that's not set in stone. It's dependent on schools. So my next question is, so you didn't like the situation of your learning in Nigeria, and then you want change, you wanted more. So how did you hear about like, you probably knew of study abroad. How did that cross your path? And how did you decide the US? I don't think I've gotten that yet.
Yeah, I've not said that. So for me, when I was in 300 level, I was just like, I want to study. Like, how your friends were like, I want to study abroad. I also kept saying it. I'm like, I want to study abroad. But for me, for the longest time, it has always been Canada. Because, like, I've heard of great things about Canada and all. I didn't know the process. I just knew that every time. I just knew I didn't like the UK. So US didn't actually cross my mind until when I was in 400 level and one of my friends traveled to the US. And I'm like, and I know, when you know people's background, and I'm like, I know this guy's background. It's not possible for, this guy to be able to travel to the US. So I kind of started opening my mind to the possibility of, if this person from this background can travel to the US, then I think I can travel to the US. So I sent him a message, then I was like, my guy, like, can you help me? This is what I'm going through. I have like a good grade. I mean, technically like fair grade, whatever. And he said something, it was like, just let that dream die because you are not a STEM student. He was a STEM student, chemistry. He was like, scholarship, yes. So it was like, and that's why I'm always passionate to like let students know that there's actually scholarship for them. Like, there are a lot of scholarship for non-STEM students. So it was like, just let that dream die. You can't get scholarship. Something else you can do is probably after school, go back and maybe do like a STEM course. I'm like, hey. So that 400 level, that dream also kind of died because I'm like, I don't, my parents, how much do my parents have? They cannot afford to allow me study in the US. I had that conversation with my sister-in-law that was lecturing in Unilag, and she kind of like told me that, okay, like I can look into schools in the US, I can look into schools abroad, but student affairs is kind of hard to get, because I was trying to see if I can get into student affairs at the University of Lagos, if she could help me. She was like, no, like it's by the number of time that you spent in the university. That is how they put you up. That's how they keep raising you up. I'm like, no. So at the end of the day, even if you go there, you have to start from the lower level. Even people that did not go to school, because there are some people that work in the school system that did not go to school. They will earn more than you that actually went to school. So I'm like, no, I
Mm.
don't want to do that. So I decided to do educational psychology. I decided to start my master's in educational psychology at the University of Lagos.
Oh wow,
And
I didn't know this at all.
yeah, I started. I
Uh-uh.
started. After preparing for the exam, for I've been preparing since the day I knew that okay, I wanted to do educational
And
psychology.
this is after you graduated, right? Just making
After I
sure.
graduated, after the whole NYS, after NYS, quarter life crisis, what do you want to do? There's no
Mm.
job. What do you want to do? So I was preparing for the exam, and the day I went for the exam, I was just so disappointed
Mm.
by the Nigerian education system. You know how you've been preparing for an exam all your life, and then you get home, you're supposed to rest. That was the night that I'm like, I have to discover this study abroad. Like, enough of somebody telling me, let me see it for myself like this, that there's no scholarship. So that's the day I started researching. And that night, I kind of like saw like, okay, there's a possibility. And then from there, I'm just like, okay, the US it is. So I was not even looking at a specific country. I'm just like, I just need to find the answer to my questions today. I mean, at the end of the day, I wasn't expecting to get admitted into Unilag, but at the end of the day, I got admitted. I don't know, maybe I did the exam well, but I was just so
Mm.
disappointed at it was a different thing in the question that you gave to us. I got there, educational psychology. What am I doing for that? It's a different thing if I'm doing statistics. Why are you taking me back to secondary school for that mathematics? For exam, like master's exam, just like, no, I'm done.
Mm.
So that kind of annoyed me. I'm like, girl, you need to find your square root. So it was that night I started
Wow.
research.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what you are saying is you were absolutely frustrated, and then you
I
decided
was.
to take
I
matters
was.
into your own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So wow, this is quite inspiring. So you were frustrated. You decided to go find out more. So did
Yeah.
anything come out from that process for you? Was it rewarding?
Yes, it was rewarding because for me, the only thing I never knew student affairs was even a course.
Yeah.
Me, I just knew that I wanted to study educational psychology.
Mm.
So from looking at educational psychology, one day I just bumped into student affairs. I'm like, eh?
Oh.
Yeah, like it was educational psychology I was looking for. I was kind of already making notes
Yeah.
because then I like writing. So I had a book that was jotting like my research, whatever in. I was already making notes for educational psychology until one day I bumped into student affairs and I'm like, wait. In a way, student affairs is also educational psychology, but the difference is you are not working with high school students. The difference is we are working with college students. I'm like, miss me on educational psychology. So that's how I changed my research to student affairs. And I'm like, okay, this is something that I actually see myself doing. So yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. All right, so you discovered that there's opportunities abroad. Was it US schools you first saw or schools in the UK? Like, walk me through what you first discovered, and then before you eventually realized, oh, I can actually do this on my own.
Yeah. So that day when I came back, I'm just like, I knew I was looking between US and Canada because like I don't know what UK did to me, but like from the onset, I've just always I've just always been like no to UK schools. So I was looking at educational psychology and I saw that okay, US has a lot of scholarship. That's something that I saw online that okay, with Canada you need money, but with US you're able to get scholarships. So I'm like, okay, let me start looking at schools in the US. I didn't even know what I was doing. I can't really remember how I started. I was just putting nonsense online. Then when I found out student affairs, I just went on Google. What is the best country to study student affairs? And I saw that most people were saying the United States. I'm like, okay, fine. So something that I started doing is I went on Google. I looked through the states in the US. I saw that okay, there are 50 states in the US. So every time I'll wake up in the middle of the night. That's why I say there's no excuse for people. I'll wake up in the middle of the night because then MCN used to do there's this sub that you do MCN that is very cheap. So you'll be able to do that one with 25 naira and they give you 1 gig. So middle of the night is when I do my research. So I was literally searching. There's no school that I did not look through then. I was literally searching from one state to another.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's what I did. I looked through all the 50 states in the US. I was literally, even here, like the list of schools I applied to, it was just like around all over. I was literally searching from one state to another.
Like, do you have an estimate of how many schools you think you looked at? Just rough estimate. No. I need that number so that the viewers will have an idea.
schools. I'm not joking to you. I'm sure I looked at more than 50 schools, because something else about me is that this was before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like what I wanted. So then most schools were requiring exam. And me, I knew that I did not want to write exam. So when I would look at a school and I would say exam, I'll cross you. I also didn't want to submit official transcripts, because I'm like, if you've not given me admission, why am I wasting money? Because official transcript from OAU is also another thing. You need to beg for it. So those were the reasons I was able to like limit my chances to, okay, these are the final 6 schools I want to apply to. But I'm sure I checked more than 60, because Ohio alone, I checked all the schools in Ohio State, Ohio University, Dayton University, Kent, BGSU, Miami.
Yeah.
So that's already 6 from one state already. So imagine if I have to
you kept doing that. That is incredible.
But something I was specifically looking at, I kept looking at public universities in the US. So I was not looking generally. But after COVID, I've seen how all those schools that I checked then, I've seen how now they've relaxed their requirements. I'm like, you people,
right, because COVID happened and they dropped all this exam requirement. If with what you know now, if you were going to start researching schools, would you do the same thing you did? Would you do the same way?
No, I would not do it the same way, because I feel like that was time consuming for me. I literally started my school search in July, like that day immediately. I wrote that exam in July. I think it was July 24 or thereabout, or maybe before my birthday. I can't remember. I literally started that school search in July, and I applied to my first school in October, which was Kent State. Even after my first school that I applied to in October, I was still searching for school. The only reason I applied to Kent State in October then was because they were doing fee waiver. After Kent State, I was still searching for school. I concluded my school search in November. So that took me a lot of time to actually uncover the schools I want to apply to. So I would not approach it the same way, particularly with a lot of people on YouTube bringing resources out now. I think I will start from there. I would start from, looking at YouTube, looking online. There are so many resources now that are available that when I was literally looking for schools then, when you come online, there's this girl then, Aladiako, she's back now on YouTube. Everything she talks about is STEM. I'm like, hey, everybody literally then was talking about STEM. But now there are a lot of non-STEM people on YouTube right now that talk about how to get admission in the US. So I'll probably start from there.
And when we say non-STEM, can you count a courses, like a number of courses, maybe like at least 10?
That are non-STEM?
Yeah, that people should know. Okay. Nursing
surprisingly is non-STEM. Public health surprisingly is non-STEM. English is non-STEM. Creative writing is non-STEM.
Okay.
Banking and finance, non-STEM. Education, whatever education you want to do, non-STEM.
Any education field at all.
Any education you want to do, non-STEM. What else is non-STEM?
History.
And all those courses in arts. All those courses in art. Although I know that there are some courses in business, there are some schools that are very nice that they will put there's a way they do it, because I know Miami then, I think there was one course in Miami then that was STEM, that was regarded as STEM. Because I did like my advising, with them. There was one time that the lady was telling me that they changed it because of international students, because of the OPT period. But there are so many non-STEM courses like English. I can't remember, honestly. But those courses in arts, any arts course is already non-STEM. But there are some courses in science too that are non-STEM, like nursing. When I heard that nursing is non-STEM, I'm like, whoa, wait, hold up. Nursing is non-STEM. Public health is non-STEM.
So now you've discovered that you can research schools. You were researching schools on your own. Can you tell me on an average how many minutes you spent on one school before you know when to move on to the next school when you're doing your search? On an average, roughly.
So I'll probably say 10 minutes on an average. 10 minutes, because I'll look at the course. I say, okay, is this what I'm looking for? Because some schools call it a different name. So I look at the course. I will say, is this what I'm looking for? That is something else too that I learned, that I can literally just type on Google and say, what is the requirement? Because for me, I'll just go straight to the school, go to graduate program,
and start searching.
The course one by one, which took time. But now, if I was to approach the school search again, I'm not even going to go there. If I know a school, or even if it's to go by the whatever I did, I'll just be like, okay, what is this? What is the requirement for Masters in Student Affairs at this school? And it's going to take me straight to their page.
To the requirement page.
The requirements page.
That is very profound, because even me, I've not thought about that. But that is
that's what I do. Right now, even if somebody's like, I want to apply to school, I'm just like, okay, no problem. I come straight to Google. Because right now, there's I on Google right now. I literally helps people, even when you're doing a Google search. I helps right now. So I'm like, this
When you
is
say
like
I, do you mean AI?
AI, yeah,
Okay,
AI. That's what
okay.
we call it. AI. You people, you 10 people, don't give
She
me a
said,
day.
she said
AI.
I. Guys, you can hear her calling AI. So,
And now it's a short form, AI, whatever. Artificial
okay.
intelligence, right?
Mm.
So right now, I feel like it's even easier. So whoever, that's what I tell people. Like, you are not serious yet. When you are serious, when you are desperate, you will find out that information by yourself.
Yeah.
So I would probably
This
say
is
10 to
incredible. This is incredible because nobody taught you the research process. You discovered it on your own.
I did it on my own.
Well done. Respect. No, for real, that's incredible. So guys, this is what we are saying. Sometimes, like, I know some people want mentorship, they want guidance. While there's nothing wrong with it, but there are also people who just is sheer drive, and that's what I see with you, just sheer drive, and like you're pushing through to get
Mhm.
to kind of where you're going. And this is strictly inspired by the troubles you've experienced in Nigeria. You're like, no more, never again.
Mhm.
That is quite interesting. Okay, so now you started searching and you are discovering schools and you are checking for requirements and you feel like you're making progress, so everything's exciting. um I'm guessing your process have started, and
Yeah.
then you started outlining what you needed for the schools you liked.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing the process have started, and we're talking about you need certain things. So what were the things you discovered that you needed, and how did you go about getting them?
Yeah. So first of all, I would not say I was excited at first because I said it was exciting because like
Yeah.
there are some schools that you're like, oh, I like this program, but they're asking for something that you don't have. And I'm like some schools we say go and evaluate your transcript. I'm like, evaluation of transcript is $250.
Yeah.
Then even when I'm talking right now, dollar was 500.
Mm.
I'm like, I beg, I do, because I didn't tell my parents when I started the process. I'm just like, I wanted to do something on my own because I don't want to tell them and then their mind is on it. And then at the end of the day, nothing is coming out of it. So I was literally, and imagine this is someone that is fresh out of school without job. So it was
Mm.
literally the money that I saved during my NYS that I was just using to push all of this
To push
agenda.
that. Yeah.
But something that I realized is I feel like that's just like the basic requirements for all the schools. Like statement of purpose, which is like
Mhm.
my favorite part because I
Yeah.
don't really say this, but I actually applied to one school because I just wanted to have that sense of, oh, I gained admission. I applied to Cleveland State University then. They were not accepting statement of purpose. 3 days later, they slammed me with rejection. That's how I knew that my statement of purpose was very strong. I didn't submit statement of purpose. They only asked for resume and transcripts. 3 days later, they slammed me with rejection.
Oh, so that's how you know that your statement of purpose was good because
That's how I like statement
ah,
of purpose because it gives me the opportunity to explain myself. Like, okay, if there's like a deficiency in like my transcript, which is something
mhm,
that I explained in my statement of my first year of college, I didn't do like my first semester in OAU, I didn't do well. But I get to
mm,
explain it my statement of purpose and I get to let you see and empathize with me that okay, this is why I did not do well, if that makes sense.
mm,
So I discovered the statement of purpose. I discovered resume. Like you have to submit your resume, your transcript. Your transcript is very important. Like right from
okay,
that July, when I knew I was going to apply to school, that was the first thing that I started chasing to get my
mm,
transcript. So my transcript, I mean, I already had my passport. So I had my passport, recommendation letter. I had to go to OAU then to go and
when you
beg
say
my
passport, you mean international passport, right?
international passport, not
Okay.
passport, international
Okay.
passport.
Okay.
And recommendation letter. I had to go to OAU then to to go and talk to my lecturers to be my recommenders. And that
Mm,
is, I know a school asked me for my certificate, but it's usually I think they asked me for my certificate because I didn't want to write test of English proficiency at that school, and they were not
mm,
waiving it for Nigerian. So they wanted to see if my certificate was written in English.
in English, yeah.
I sent my certificate to them. A school also asked me for my writing sample, and I uploaded my undergraduate research work. This was Bowling Green State University.
Mm.
Um, so I submitted my undergraduate research work, and that was it. Those were like just the basic
This
document I
this
submitted.
undergraduate research work, do you mean like your project work, the
The
thesis?
project there, the
You
nonsense
send the
that we
entire thing to them.
I scanned everything. That's how you know that this guy is serious. Like, so the story with BGSU is that on their portal they said if you don't meet a 3.0 on a scale of 4.0, you have to write GRE. When I was applying, only for me to submit, and they were not waiving it for me.
Oh,
So, and I was like, because I've applied to other school. By this time, I already applied to Miami, and that's the same thing Miami says. That's the same thing Kent State. They already invited me for interview, and I was trying to explain to them that try to evaluate this transcript. Is a 3.0 and a 4.0, but the guy I was talking to was saying that my transcript. So he was trying to equate 5.0 is still the same on 4.0. Like it's going to reduce when he puts it on a scale of 4.0. But you know that there's a way they do that transcript evaluation. So it was like, what he's saying is that my own GPA is over a 5.0, that I do not meet the requirements. So after long back and forth, in fact, at a point, the person was like, this is the last time, that person that was immediate, this is the last time, respectfully, go and write GRE. I was trying to explain to them that it's kind of, this was already in like December. It's already late for me to write GRE, whatever. But in January, their project, their graduate coordinator reached out to me. I was like, she actually read my other profile, and she was wondering why they are yet to like put my application, like send my application to the school. But she saw my profile and read it, because I was like the only international student applying. And I was like, well, it's the old GRE thing. And she was like, okay, you know what, she's going to help me. So she said I should submit my undergraduate research work. So that's how the GRE requirement got waived for me then.
So this is good. So now you started applying, you discovered your SOP was good, you discovered you needed SOP, transcript, international passport. You've not talked about recommendation letters.
Like the recommendation was something that I had to think about, because I'm like, who knows me that can write for me?
I have a question for you. Your recommenders, did they use official OAU email? By the way, guys, OAU is Oluwafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria. It's a university in Nigeria. So we just call it OAU for short. So the people that wrote your recommendation letter, is there an existing like school email that they used, or they just use Gmail? Do you know? Did you have school email?
I remember one of them used OAU email. The other one said, because there was one strike too that was happening then, said there was no way. He used OAU email for the first two schools, and then eventually said that he cannot remember his
password.
OAU password again.
So I was literally about to say he doesn't know his password.
So he started giving me his Gmail. And honestly, like this question, somebody asked me the same question today. So I say, like, if they have Gmail, just put their Gmail, because I know like a lot of people have like professional email, right? Like even me, as I work, even you have like an email that is linked to your workspace. But most people in Nigeria, they use their Gmail. So it's fine for you to use their Gmail. Actually, it is fine. So yeah, I just use their Gmail, because at the end of the day, those two recommenders, at the end of the day, they eventually turn to one, because one of them was, I'm tired. How many schools does this girl want to apply to?
Right. So do you know, by the way, our time is quickly catching up, but hold on. Did they use school letterhead at least?
Yeah, they use school letterhead.
And
that
did you?
Very important.
Yes, and very, very important. And did you get the opportunity to see your letter with your eyes?
No, I only saw one eventually, because there was one that the thing was like very late. Like he kept saying they didn't have light, and it was generous enough to say, okay, if I send it to you, will you be able to submit? So he sent it to me, and I was able to read it, but I didn't see what every other person was writing for me.
That's incredible.
But what I did when I was asking for recommendation is I sent them my statement of purpose. I sent them my resume.
I was about to ask you what you sent them. Yeah, okay.
So that they read and they know that, okay, this is what this guy is applying to.
Yeah.
This is what a recommendation should carry. And I also reminded them, because I remember for Mr. Paul, GP then, I reminded him, I said, remember that time when you wanted to organize one conference, remember that I volunteer, please, can you put it on my resume? Can you put it on my recommendation letter? So those are ways that you can talk to your recommenders and be like, I've done this for you. Remind them, because there's a lot of you. They might not remember. But there's only one of them, so you would remember. So yeah.
So what is the most difficult step for you? What was the most difficult document to get, or what stressed you the most during graduate school application?
Transcript and recommendation letter. That thing was giving me a headache. I'm not going to lie to you. My transcripts, like I was begging on top of my own academic record after paying. Transcript really stressed me. Recommendation letter also really stressed me, because we all know how Nigeria is now.
Yeah.
Like begging, like I had 3 lecturers then, so it was just one that wrote. Like there was one lecturer, God bless him. I'm actually going to mention his name, Mr. Keshop, or wherever you are. God bless you. That
shout out to him.
Yes, shout out to him. He submitted recommendation for all the 6 schools I applied to. without saying it was tired. But every other person, once they say they are tired, I'll switch to another person. Like, it was just a whole lot,
Oh my
constantly
gosh,
checking.
that is a mess. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that because statement of purpose is something that I can do on my own at the end of the day, but
Right.
something that required external help
Someone
was
else. Yeah.
difficult.
Oh
Yes,
man, that is
you have to
crazy.
remind them. Even one man, God forgive me, even one man. There was a date to Miami application was ending. This man said he couldn't write it. Even after the first time he told me to help him write it, I wrote it for him. Just put it on the letterhead and sign, and do whatever it is they sent to your email. A date I was running crazy. I had to go and look for someone else to write the recommendation for me.
That's incredible.
So
Yeah. Now you applied. I'm guessing so. You've had your transcript. You've had your recommendation letter. The hardest things. You have your SOP, which you're in charge of. You have your international passport. You have everything you need and your resume. And you sent in your application and you paid. How much did you spend during this process? Yes.
Okay, so I got fee waiver for Kent. I got fee waiver for BGSU.
Okay.
My friend paid for my Yukon. I
Okay.
paid for Miami $50. I paid for Vermont $65. I think 65 or 75. I can't remember. I paid for NIU, and I paid for Oklahoma. So I paid for application.
You pay for applications. Okay.
I paid 3 applications with Miami, NIU, Vermont, Oklahoma. I paid 4. My friend paid 1, and I got fee waiver for 2.
Okay, so those 2, just to be clear, those 2 that you got fee waiver, you still got admitted with full funding.
I got admitted, yes, of course. I got admitted.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw my recent video on application fee. When it comes to fee waivers, especially the ones that they're like, oh, some people pay, but you can apply for fee waiver. I feel like it gets really tricky. So I tell people it's like, I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. I won't hold out my breath for that, because usually when there's payment, I feel like there's priority for paid applications to read them first. And so it kind of leaves you in the wind if you're not careful.
Also, the way I got the fee waiver is, I would say, like the BGSU one, I just attended that session and they were distributing fee waiver.
Okay.
They were distributing the code. I got it. Then for Kent, it was when they were doing the application fee waiver week. That's when, like, now that people know that, okay, you can apply for fee waiver. Like I said, then I didn't even know anything. Right. Even I just wanted to, like, okay, let me hear about this. That's how I attended. Like, I was just lucky enough to have attended that BGSU. That's how I got the fee waiver. So now at least people say, oh, you can apply for fee waiver. Then I didn't even know what I was doing. It was just like trial and error for me. So yeah.
So when you first, now I'm switching gear a little bit. When you first arrived the US, okay, so you applied to 6 schools, you got into all 6. Yes. Congratulations, by the way. I know it has passed. You applied to 7
schools. I got into all 7.
Oh, wow.
One was offering me scholarship, but the scholarship wasn't full. Like this, I didn't get the graduate assistantship, so that was Northern Illinois. So just because most of the time I always forget about Northern Illinois, but actually I applied. I didn't get the graduate assistantship. They were offering me, I think, like half of my tuition. I'm like, when I have 6 other schools that
offer, you have 6 schools that are giving you money. Okay, so they offered you full funding in 6 different schools. That is amazing. That is really amazing. And so you chose Miami University, right? So what informed your eventual choice of the 1 school out of 6?
Okay, so for me, first of all, I hope you know it was not the money, because I think we've had this discussion before. It was not the money, because
I would hope it's the money, but okay. I like money, so
UConn was paying more than Miami, like in terms of monthly stipend. UConn covered health insurance. Miami was not covering it. And you know how much you had to pay for health insurance. So for me, it wasn't really about the money. It was just about like I was able to make connections. So for me then, I felt like Miami was consistently responding to me. Like I would send email within hours, Miami would respond. They were consistently connecting me. Like the program coordinator then, Dr. Elisa, she would be like, okay, what else do you need? Do you want to talk to current students? Do you want to do this? So before I got to Miami, I kind of already made connection.
There was that care. You felt cared for.
I felt cared for. Then also COVID happened. Like they were constantly asking me, hope you are not really impacted by COVID, because I was supposed to travel the year of COVID. And then that happened. I had to defer my admission. So because of that, I deferred. Like because then I kind of already rejected some schools. I deferred some, but Miami was like the only school that was constantly, I don't know, maybe it was broadcast message, but I know I was constantly getting their message and I felt cared for. And I'm like, this school already made connection with people, their residence life department, good. I'm like, well, money will come later. Let me just go to the school where I feel like I belong. And also, not to say I didn't belong in other schools, but I look through and I'm like, probably I'll be the only black girl in class. I don't want to be that. So yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm glad I chose Miami, because if I didn't come to Miami, I would not have met you. So
that was my next question. I was like, are you happy you went to Miami? Like, are you happy with your choice? So
I
you're
am, like,
happy.
I have no regret. Like, aside from the money, even when I was in Miami, when people ask me, aside from the money, because I mean, I had other schools that were offering me like better money. Aside from the money, that was the only thing that, sometimes when you don't have money, you reflect and you're like, this school was offering me more money. Oh. Aside from the money, I like all my experiences at Miami. I think it was a good start for me, particularly because I was just coming from abroad. We had a good Nigerian community. Like when I came, you were there. Like literally, you helped me, took me to Walmart. I don't know how it would have been in other places. So I really like the fact that
guys, when she came to Miami, I was a senior colleague. Now she's my senior colleague. So
President General among the
nations. That's funny. So okay, that's quite interesting. So what was the biggest shocker when you first came to Miami University? When you first came to the US, what would you say was your biggest culture shock?
The fact that when people say let's go out, we are paying. Literally that day, because I came on a Thursday. Yeah. So my supervisor was like, I should just rest on Saturday. So I didn't really get to meet because we were training. So on Saturday, she's called me. She was like, let's go to ice cream. As I was going, thank God that Chiamaka was with me. Then Chiamaka was like, hold your money. If not, I for no old money.
Chiamaka is a friend.
She just got and they paid. I was like, but you said, like, it's a different thing if I said, okay, let us go. But he said, let's go so that you get to meet other people. But I ended up paying. I feel like that shocked me. I'm not going to lie. That shocked me. Because I'm like, you invited me, you should pay. So
it shocked you that people had no shame to be like, pay for yourself, pay for yourself.
I guess it's just their culture. Like when you invite people out, just hold your money. So right now, even with my colleague, like sometimes even at work, if they invite me out, sometimes they might pay, but I'm just like coming with the mindset of whatever you are ordering, make sure it's something that you can pay for.
Right. The idea is that this is not like Nigeria where people just ask for money. In Nigeria, everybody's asking for money as if they give you money to keep for them. So like here, it's like if you're doing something, you are responsible for yourself completely.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's actually a very good one.
Right now, I understand it. But then just coming from Nigeria, I'm like, hey, whoa, like what is happening here? So I feel like that shocked me a little bit. Then even, that was like the first thing that shocked me. But other things with like classes, like when I was in class, then if I want to go on unit, I would raise my hand up. So I'm saying, but just our coordinator always like, you can always leave. Like even
just work out. Now,
even up to now, it's still part of me because in class then in Nigeria, you cannot talk. Like even up to now in meeting, like when we have like our general staff meeting, if I want to talk, I will raise my hand up.
Everybody is a dictator in Nigeria. Everybody's a mini dictator. So they will frustrate you. They will put fear in your mind. I was saying this. I think a lot of Nigerians live in fear because we thrive on intimidation. Like everybody's intimidating everybody, and it's really bad. Like intimidation with any power or with money. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
I never went to my professor's hour until one professor made it as credit points. The day before I was going like this, I was overthinking it because I'm like, hey, because I just came with like, even though this is a different system, like there's still some things that are traumatizing. In OAU, then the first time I went to my professor's office, I'm not going to say the name of the man. This man literally pressed my breast. I'm not lying to God who made me. And I did not even
you have to say the name. You have to say the name. What's the person's name?
I don't want to put person for trouble.
You don't want to go enter Insta blog. Yeah.
I don't want to
for you, though. For you.
I beg. Like my friend was looking for a test, and I'm like, girl, please let us still wait. But she was kind of apprehensive about it, and we went. And this man, he said he was pulling my hair, but it was literally pressed. Like I put the ear for front like this, so it was not telling me that will I come back? I'm like, I should have said yes, just so that it can allow us leave. I said yes. So that kind of like, that was traumatizing for me. Does that make sense? Also, the first day I went to Unilag, I feel like I said this openly. The first day I went to Unilag, one man, maybe assistant lecturer, literally wanted to, I don't know what his aim was, but he wanted to sleep with him because he was telling me, enter office. I'm like, I don't need to enter office. I'm a master's student. He was saying, hey, and so, are you a baby? The first day I went for my registration in Unilag. Some of those things were traumatizing. For you to now say, okay, come to your professor's office. I understand that they are ladies, but trauma is trauma, if that makes sense. Right. So until that time, and that when I went to her office, she was like, she noticed that, and I had to explain to her that, like in Nigeria, we see professors as lords, like it's not just easy, because she was like, she has not been able to relate with me. I'm like, I'm glad that she was able to understand and she gave me the grace. But that was something I struggled with, like going to professor's office hour. I really struggled with that.
Yeah, that is a lot to
And,
unpack. I feel like you just snuck up on me with that one. I didn't see that one coming
no,
at all.
no. I had crazy experience in AU.
So you had some baggages to unpack and like
Mhm.
to unlearn and relearn. Okay. Okay. So what advice would you give to someone? Actually, before we get to advice, let's talk about because we'll get to that. I want advice to be towards the end, but let's talk about how did you go from Miami to your current job? How did you feel like Miami prepped you for your current job, and how is it going?
I mean, so far the job is going okay, and I would say Miami prepped me, with like the coursework, the practical, like aside from the fact that I had a graduate assistantship, I had to take like 2 practicals. I also did internships, so I'm like, that is even a lot of prepping. So like
Mm,
sometimes when things happen here and it's surprising everybody, I'm like, well, I think I've dealt with this before, and I also
mm,
like the way, especially the assistantship I had. I think it really, really prepared me because they
mm,
were. I mean, then it felt like we were doing a lot. But right now, like right now that I'm working, even right now that I'm working, I don't think I do a lot like when I was in grad school. I'm not going to lie. And
yeah.
I'm going to say because of the institution I work for. But sometimes when things happen and people are complaining, I'm like, something that I've done before, like this is small. Like I've
Yeah.
done more than this. Like there was a year that I had 2 practicum, I had assistantship, I was still a student. So I feel like that really prepped me in like time management. That's something that I struggled with before coming to the US. Like
Yeah.
I just go with my day, but right now I plan my day ahead. Okay, this is what we want to do tomorrow. So yeah, it really helped me develop like some essential skills. So yeah.
Wow, that is okay. So, and you feel like those skills and everything is currently helping you in your job
Yeah,
to
so
okay, and you enjoy working with students.
I know, yes, I enjoy, of course. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes students can be in like a pain in your butt. Like I
Yeah.
feel like there's no job that you would sometimes not be like, oh, why am I in this field? And that brings me exactly to what I said earlier, the passion. Like I don't
Mm,
see myself doing something else for now. I mean, in the future that might change because sometimes like God is calling you to a particular sector for you to make changes, and that does not mean that is where you'll be for life. But for
yeah.
now, I really enjoy working with students. Sometimes they annoy me, but I still enjoy working with them.
Okay, amazing. So, what advice do you have for students that are looking to transition from undergraduate school? And I want you to speak holistically to people in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana, in India, China, wherever, just around the world. What advice do you have for people who are considering this type of thing? And I know you've sprinkled so many things during the course of this conversation. If you want to tell them something in 1 or 2 minutes, what would you tell them?
So first of all, I would say is that people should fix their mindset. I feel like there are a lot of somebody said, somebody said, somebody said, and if you keep going by somebody said, you are not going to make any decision. So research things for yourself. Like right now, there are so many resources online. He has a YouTube channel where he dishes out a lot of information. See it yourself that okay, there's no assistantship in this field. And how many schools have you looked at? Somebody was telling me something recently. Oh, there's no assistantship. I said, how many schools did you look at? You looked at
Yeah.
just one school, and you've concluded a school might not offer assistantship in that particular field, but another school might be offering you assistantship. And also believe in yourself. Then, with your statement of purpose, be original, be authentic. I've heard a lot of people dubbing statement of purpose. I'm like, at the end of the day, you are doing yourself. And that's why I don't put my statement out there online.
What do you mean by dubbing?
Like copy, they copy
Okay, good.
somebody
I
else.
just want to
I've
use
seen,
simple
I've
terms to
seen
make
it.
sure
I've
everybody
not
gets
heard
it.
it exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen it where somebody copied my friend's statement. Like, and the person still had the guts because she read that statement online. The person still had the guts to come and meet me to help her. Immediately I saw the first, I said, I sent a message to my friend. Did you send your statement to anybody? She said no. I said, did you read your statement? She said yes, she read that statement. I said, somebody, I sent her the statement. She was like, this is my statement.
Yeah.
And you
I
want
think
to apply to the same school she applied to.
yeah, that is weird. It's like my statement of purpose. I know I've sent it to a few people over the years, and I feel like some people send me statement of purpose, and I can see my statement of purpose, elements of it reflected. Look, I wouldn't say they copied, but I can see the structure, I can see the element. I'm like, oh, this sounds like my statement of purpose, except for them.
So I
They
don't have
used it
issues.
to draw inspiration and then did that. But yeah, but I hear what you're saying.
I don't have issues with you copying my structure. I don't
Yeah.
have issues with you taking some element of my statement and copying it.
Mm,
But I
mm.
feel like when you take something from the beginning to the end and you copy it,
There's a
then that
problem.
Like,
So thank you so much, because I feel like you've said so many valuable things in this video. And personally, even as your friend, I've known Inka for, oh my gosh,
we are preach.
since she said preach.
2020, I came to
Is it 2019 or 2020?
2021. I came to Miami in
2020.
2021.
Sorry, I've lost count, old people. So I've known her since 2021. So it's been a minute, 3-4 years. Maybe safe to say 3 years. So it has been a while, and I don't think I actually ever know, like ever knew her full story. Like, I didn't realize that your inspiration was strictly just your own stress, and like you were self-motivated to do the thing you did. Like, I really love self-motivated people, and I am so happy that like you're that kind of person. I think that also explains why we're still friends. So
Because we are both self-motivated. Because I've heard your story. You've said your story on
yeah.
my channel. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I will link up a video of myself and my story that was said on our channel a few years ago. I think I was one of like the earlier videos on our channel. So definitely go check it out. You would learn my own story there. Maybe one day I might say my own story on this channel. I don't know. But
Maybe you can invite me to come and interview you, but it will be for your channel.
yeah, that's funny. That might be a good idea. But so far, so good. She's been an incredible friend, as you can see, self-motivated. And now, leave us with this. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, to 10 years? I'm trying to get like an idea of like, we want to know, was all this trouble worth it? Do you feel like you gave up anything, and where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
I don't know if I would say I give up anything, but if there's anything, I don't think I gave up. I think it's just like, because I mean, family, like, your family is back home, but I don't think I gave them up. I would just say, constantly like missing them, because I mean, this is what they want for you as well. They want you to succeed. They want you to reach the maximum of your potential, right?
Yeah.
But in the next 10 years, honestly, I see myself like imparting change in Nigeria, because that is the whole, that is the sole goal of this. It's not just about coming to another person's country and like impacting their country as well. Like, in whatever little capacity it is at that particular point in time, I see myself actually impacting the education system in Nigeria, the higher education system in Nigeria. Because I feel like right now it is so messed up. Like, there are so many things that I'm unable to talk. Like, I'm unable to talk about them right now. Like, there was somebody that reached out to me that was like, I don't know who to talk to for recommendation, because all my lecturers when I was in school wanted to sleep with me. I'm like, you still need an academic student. I don't know.
You know what's funny? If she goes to ask them now, they will ask her for the same thing again.
Is that they even failed that? And I'm not to say that this place is a saint as well, right? But I'm just saying, like, in the next 10 years, I see myself like, bringing about the change. I mean, of course, it's going to be little, kind of like probably find like-minded people as well that we can incorporate this change together. So yeah, that's why I see
essentially you want to drive zero tolerance for what do we call this thing now?
Sex for grade.
Yes. Well, it's exploitation. So zero tolerance for exploitation
and manipulation. Because I mean, some of them will be like, but they were the one that came to me and said they wanted to sleep with me. No. And I think right now, the way I'm talking to you, I'm actually gaining insight. But I'm probably kind of like setting, even it doesn't even have to be big, like probably setting organization that can investigate these things where people are safe. Like, if you come and report to like our organization, I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like a big thing. It's not something.
So like an NGO, and like we can have lawyers.
Yeah, like,
we can have lawyers running pro bono cases.
Exactly. You can have lawyers but the person's face will not be known. Like, the person's story will be concealed. So something like that. But I just feel like that is where it starts from first. Also, the structure of higher education in Nigeria, it needs to change. Don't admit more than what you can cater for. Because I feel like that was majorly the thing in Nigeria. Like 500 students, most of the lectures room we had, 200, 300 will end up standing. Minus people that even had to carry over the course, so they will still join us. At the end of the day, we'll still end up standing in class. So all of those. But yeah, and also, being at the peak of my career, whether in the US, I mean, of course, in the US, being at the peak of my career. So yeah, and of course,
if you okay, get married in 5 to 10 years. Okay, amazing.
Of course, what they cost me.
No. That definitely send me an invite when the time comes. I wanted to ask. So, if you were called on, upon in 5 to 10 years time, let's say in 5 to 10 years, to be a commissioner of education in a specific state, or like something like that. Would that be an opportunity you would like to take on?
Yeah, I just didn't say it, but my end goal is to be the Minister of Education in Nigeria.
Amazing, amazing.
Mhm. So my
That would be the caption for this thumbnail for this video.
that I'm not even going for commissioner level. Like that has always been my end goal. And like constantly, like I ask myself, am I doing something now that would, and I feel like that's something that worries me. Like constantly I'm asking myself, what am I doing? Because I feel like right now I'm not really doing a lot for in the Nigerian space per se. So that's something that I constantly ask myself and I remind myself, like, am I doing something right now that they can say, okay, even if this person doesn't want to contest, people are saying, oh, is this person that we want? I feel like that's the question I constantly ask myself.
Okay, so you are sure of yourself that once in position, you can drive policies that would address a
Yeah.
lot of these issues. Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
This has been great. Thank you so much for being a part of my channel and kickstarting this interview sessions. I believe I'll do more, but I'm really glad that I started with you, and thank you for having me on your channel in the past. And yeah, that's about it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can find Yinka on Catching Up with Ola. It's on YouTube and it's linked up, so definitely go check out our videos. She has amazing content that, you know, like I said earlier, check it out, show her some love, subscribe, like, comment on our channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Leave any questions you have in the comment section. Yeah. Subscribe to my channel as well.
It's not free. Subscribe.
Subscription is free, so leave the comments down below if you have any questions for her, and I'm sure she'll be happy to get back to you guys. That said, have a good one. See you guys in the next one.
Bye.